I want to eat your face. It could just be so yummy. I'd like to have your face in my tummy.
We are talking the low-budget alien spoof movie, Naked Space, aka Spaceship, aka The Creature Wasn't Nice. This is written and directed by Bruce Kimmel, who also stars in the movie, along with Cindy Williams, Leslie Nielsen and Patrick McNee. So obviously Leslie Nielsen's the biggest name here, who obviously went on to do the kind of the Naked Gun movies and etc. But he was actually in the Forbidden Planet movie, so this is kind of somewhat of a reference to that as well. So what is the basic premise? Well, it does actually kind of very loosely follow the kind of the same sort of plot as the original Alien movie. So we have this crew of this spaceship, all of whom are kind of like blue collar types, land on this kind of unknown alien planet, and they pick up some type of kind of like alien parasite, which is initially just a kind of like a gelatinous kind of like blob. They take it aboard the spaceship and it grows into a large kind of humanoid blob monster that decides it wants to kind of eat the rest of the crew there, and it's up to our intrepid small crew to see if they can survive the deadly creature. So that is your basic premise, obviously very similar to that of the original Alien movie. But what this one is an out-and-out kind of like comedy spoof. Don't be expecting any kind of actual, you know, real kind of storytelling or kind of thrills and that sort of thing. So first of all, what works about this film? So, Leslie Nielsen is always a pleasure to watch, I feel, and he's kind of doing his stoic thing here, which of course he carried on through his career into the kind of like the Naked Gun films and kind of beyond, really. So he's this kind of like almost like the kind of the straight man to a lot of the time, but he does have kind of like great comedic timing, and it's kind of always kind of a pleasure to watch. There are a couple of funny moments within this movie. For example, there's I'm going to come on to the big one, but there's a couple of scenes, for example, where Bruce Kimmel's character comes into the room, and one female member of staff is startled and screams. She has this kind of really kind of long, prolonged scream, for example, and he's kind of just there kind of wondering what she's doing. Stuff like that. There are a couple of jokes for me that do actually hit. The biggest, I feel, most memorable thing about this movie is the song and dance number. Now, when we were young, we actually saw this on VHS, and my younger brother loved this movie. And looking at it, I can't really understand why. But by far and away the most memorable scene of this movie is when they kind of put a translator onto the kind of like the monster, and he's kind of singing about, like a show tune, about how he wants to eat people, specifically eating their faces and stuff, and the crew is there looking bemused watching this creature doing a kind of song and dance number, but obviously the lyrics saying about how he kind of wants to eat various body parts. That is definitely the best scene in the movie, and I feel is certainly the most memorable. But there are a smattering of kind of funny moments here and there as well. There's a couple of moments involving Patrick McNee, which I thought was quite fun as well. This movie, however, is super low budget and really looks like it. So much so that I've seen it compared to Plan 9 from Outer Space. So this is a knowingly schlockily bad film, but you know, although there are elements here that are funny and kind of a little bit you know, interesting at times, the movie plays out its jokes a lot of the time far too long. For example, where we have scenes where we have our crew kind of like creeping around the spaceship and stuff, looking for the creature, and then we have the creature kind of like following in its footsteps. The joke is played out for too long, for example, and a lot of the time that the humour is just kind of very kind of base and obvious, if that makes sense. The actual plot is unfortunately quite tedious, and this movie doesn't really have much kind of in regards to a story, so it's a lot of just standing around talking. Some of the jokes they hit, but some of the times they don't. And just the kind of it's a very workman-like style kind of movie in the way in the kind of the way it's shot, and the characters again seem very kind of flimsy. And I know it's a spoof, I know it's a kind of a comedy, so there's always that defence, oh, they're meant to be like that. But I mean, Leslie Nielsen's character, I think, and Patrick McNee, I kind of quite enjoyed. But some of the other characters, I just felt were kind of like they felt like they should have been played by other actors. There's one called Brzezinski, for example, and he's crying out to be played by Bill Murray. But you know, it's just that the actor that we've got, unfortunately, doesn't quite have that kind of like that delivery, the kind of the screen presence. And Bruce Kimmel's character, there's quite a lot of it with scenes with him being kind of like this kind of somewhat creepy, nerdy guy. And unfortunately, his scenes are certainly the least interesting out of all of the cast members. So the actual film does get a bit tedious, unfortunately. A smatterings of comedy kind of here and there. The creature itself is very kind of cheap looking, and the movie does use a hell of a lot of stock footage whilst when they're kind of watching things on like their TV. It uses a lot of stock footage, and again, although it's quite a meagre running time, it feels like it's padding itself out. So it's kind of a little bit of an oddity to a certain degree, but it's certainly not an interesting film in its own right. And you're probably better off, if I'm honest with you, probably watching clips on YouTube rather than kind of watching the whole thing, because the whole movie isn't all that interesting, although it does kind of follow the very kind of the bare bones story of the actual Alien movie. So if you are just a huge Alien fan, you want to kind of see a 1981 comedy spoof version of it, then you may want to check it out as a curiosity factor if you're a huge Leslie Nielsen fan. I'll give this one a 4 out of 10, because I do think there are a smattering of funny moments that kind of do make it somewhat bearable at times. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.